Yeah, I'll subscribe. Let's see. Alright, so next video is gonna be Gaming Isn't Fun Anymore. With Asmongold. The Pie Face. I think I've seen this video. I haven't seen it, but it's more like I saw it like as a video to watch. But since Asmon's already reacted to it, let's just take a look.
Why isn't gaming fun anymore?
Listen, guys, here's the thing. I'm old.
I think it
I
is.
have gray hairs. But there's one thing that's been in my life since my hair was short and full of color, and that's video games. But recently, I've realized
look who it is!
that I spend a lot more.
It's Zach Rar. Wow.
The one that's not
Which
making
one
Twitch
is
any
that?
money.
Oh yeah, that's back whenever I was doing the New World. So I need to start playing New World again.
Time
This is a
consuming
great
content
video.
about video games than I do
Yeah,
actually.
I've been
it's
wanting to
that
go
guy.
back to it too.
In fact, in the past couple of years, there's been months at a time where I did not play a single minute of
It's
video
the
games.
mogul male
And
guy.
it most certainly is not because I'm a busy and accomplished adult with a roaring career and social life, because quite the opposite. My life mostly revolves around watching YouTube videos, streams, and shows, but I actively miss playing video games and spending countless hours immersing myself in creative worlds and game systems, and it seems like I'm the only one with this problem. All of my friends still have the games that they're obsessed with and play all the time.
So why don't you join them? Like, just have you tried that? Like playing their games with them? See if you get into it?
I personally don't enjoy most of those games.
Oh my god. Bro, the only thing missing out of this is the Mad Catz logo.
Then you need to get friends who have similar tastes in games. Like if this is what you're like really looking to do, like to get into a game.
Since
I'm not saying lose your
apparently I'm a
friends, but
boomer that hates games now.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? Am I growing out of this hobby that I've loved for so long? Or perhaps I'm
Maybe.
just jaded from the infestation of corporate greed and its insatiable hunger for infinite growth.
I don't think so, because a lot of these games you can work around it, and I've learned to do that, and I enjoy the game still. Like Genshin Impact. So I don't think that's could be the only reason, unless for some reason it just bothers you way more than it should. But
It upon us in every corner, in every game, with cash shops and battle passes, so many battle passes and coins and the crystals you have to buy, and the crystals you don't get the right amount of crystals, and then
Diablo
it for all
Immortal.
items in the shop because they have a little left over because they want you to spend more money. Or maybe games are just bad now. Or is it some other nuanced collection of reasons that I'm going to spend the rest of this video exploring and talking about?
I think it's a mix of things.
Yeah, no, games are definitely just bad now.
Oh, we used to have one of these. I still
It was
have
the
a
early
VCR.
90s. One of my earliest, most
Bro,
vivid.
whatever happened to this shit? Like,
Racing
y'all
games?
remember this game? I used to have this shit. This was on
F-Zero.
Super Nintendo. F-Zero.
yeah, the GameCube one was actually really, really good. I had a friend who was just obsessed with
Remember
it.
that shit whenever it came out on fucking GameCube?
Yep.
Man, I loved F-Zero. F-Zero GX, yeah. It was so fucking fun, man. Whatever happened to this? Like, that's the next, like, the next IP.
Like, to me, it was this F-Zero, and there was another one that I really liked playing with my friend. I think it was on the 64. What was it? San Francisco Rush 2024, I think it was called. I think that might be it. It was like pretty cool because like you could fly with your car. Well, glide, I shouldn't say. You couldn't really fly, but you could glide. And there was like a ton of secrets because of it.
Like, stop making new Forza sports games. Like, I don't give a fuck about how realistic the wheels look. Bro, make a new F-Zero.
Yeah.
Vivid memories of video games was the Christmas that I got a Super Nintendo.
Ooh.
I got this Mickey Mouse game called The Magical Quest, starring Mickey Mouse.
That's actually a good
I remember
game.
just laying down in my living
I had the
room
Goof
for
Troop game. It
hours,
was
playing
amazing.
on my little CRT TV.
Yep.
It like cracked my tiny little underdeveloped brain, just seeing pixels moving at my command. I was hooked. And that was it. The floodgates were open. Throwing Foot Clan ninjas into the screen.
Oh.
my God.
I played the hell out of this with my family, with my sister and brother.
I
collecting
never
all the
beat this
letters and Donkey Kong
Donkey
Country.
Kong Country, yeah.
Koopas,
in Super Mario World, solving puzzles with all the cool items and
Zelda,
the
yeah.
pads, that kick-ass intro in Super Metroid.
I
was
never
hyped and
beat
stressed out
Super
Such a
of
good
my
game.
I
mind
gotta
for
beat
that.
it.
Wait, he never beat it. Are you kidding, Asmon? Dude, you gotta go back.
This era was peak gaming and would forever solidify me as a Nintendo fanboy.
Yep. I too am a Nintendo fanboy. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how many Smash tournaments they cancel at the 11th hour for seemingly no reason. I will still simp for Nintendo and get hyped up whenever one of the old guys that, you know, made Super Mario
A new
World
game,
comes
yeah.
on camera. They're like, we got a new game. I'm like, yes!
Yes,
I don't
exactly.
give a fuck.
Like, they may do the tournaments dirty, but they almost never do the games, like, really badly, so... Or at least, like, their franchise ones, like Zelda. I'm not... Pokemon's probably, like, the odd one out when it comes to that.
Then, a few years later, the most fateful day of any kid growing up in the mid-90s. The Christmas where I got my... It was
Yeah.
that sick-ass green one that was bundled with Donkey Kong 64 and
Yeah.
that little RAM pack. But now, games were 3D.
I got
Donkey
Super
Kong,
Mario
Mario,
64.
Zelda, all had an entirely new dimension to explore,
Yeah.
opening up so many gameplay options. But that wasn't all, because you could play with 4 players. Mario Kart,
Yeah. Yes.
Mario Party, Smash Bros.
The only game you could do with multiplayer on Super Nintendo, like, really, is like, you know, there's some fighting games.
Like, he really put, like, the freaking big hits here. Like, you got Mario Kart, of course. You got Gauntlet. Such a good, like, really good game for its time. Smash Bros, of course. And Mario Party. I like how 3 of the 4 are, like, Mario kind of related in a way. What are you doing? My cat's, like, wanting attention. What are you doing, girl? Can I help you? Okay, well, I'm gonna... Alright, let's gonna play. He's just staring at me.
So, like, you could do Secret of Mana with, like, 3 people if you had, like, an adapter.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
rise of
I forgot
party
about
maybe a
that.
couple of
You
other
could sit on the
games.
couch with your friends, smacking
Mario
controllers out
Party
of
was
each
our
other's
game.
hands,
That's the
accuse
one
them
we
of
did.
cheating.
My family played every game. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think I grew up kind of lucky in that sense, in that we had pretty much every system, and we had like multiple controls for every system. So if there was like a multiplayer game, more than likely I've played it.
Ruin friendships.
I think the ones that like my family really got into though was like original Halo, Soul Calibur, Dead or Alive. Let me think here. Smash Bros, of course, and I think Fantasy Star Online on the GameCube.
It was great. But party games weren't the only thing that benefited from the
We
format.
used to have this one kid that he would always turn off the N64 whenever he would lose Mario
Oh,
Party. So we would have to,
yeah,
like, whenever we were, like, you know, it was like
yeah. That freaking. He used to have him, not with family, thankfully, probably because you get beat up in my family if you do something like that. But like, I remember going to a friend's house and this dude unplugged my controller because I was winning. I just like, I still remember. I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, I never like, I just went home. I was like, yeah, I'm not playing games with you. Like, who does that?
round like 19 out of 20, we would have to be
Like, who
ready to
raised you?
fucking just like fucking grab him and like throw him down before he hits the reset button.
Filler slots.
Or they would, I remember one of my, like, with family, like, having fun with it. Sometimes they would, like, grab your arm and, like, yank it. So you would, like, stop the combo of what you were doing.
Multiplayer first-person shooters. My friends and I spent countless hours on GoldenEye 64.
Oh,
we even
yeah,
used to
GoldenEye.
get
I never
cardboard
did this.
boxes and tape them up to
I think what was really cool with GoldenEye is, like, the map design was just incredible for its time. There was a lot of, like, little
the
secrets.
screen to section it off so that you couldn't screen look.
Oh,
we
we
took that
didn't do
shit
that.
very seriously. Now, by this
Screen
time,
checkers.
first-person
Yep.
shooters already existed on PC, but I had the crappiest Dell that was cheap and
Oh, you know what? I don't know if a lot of people know it, but those computers were really, like, designed to take a hit. Like, I remember my brother, because we had these monitors as well. My dad got them from his job. Like, they just gave it to him because they were gonna upgrade, and so they were giving them away for free, basically. And my brother punched it as hard as he could. You know how you, like, nerd rage? he was one of those people who did that. And I remember he punched the screen and broke his knuckle on the screen.
Out of date,
That's how freaking tough these things were.
even for the late 90s.
My mom had a computer in the 70s. Okay? I grew up with the best fucking computers. But we didn't have a lot of shit, but she worked from home. She needed to use a computer. What? Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Your mom worked from home back then?
My grandfather was a pilot in World War II, and then after World War II, he became a cartographer. And so my mom worked with him, and so she was like getting a computer to do that.
That's cool.
So like yeah, like the old Osborne PCs, like with the monitor, it's like this big and it's green.
I'm surprised you grew up kind of poor. You would think that kind of job would pay quite a bit more.
I have one of those.
I was still able to play bangers.
Or maybe
like
she just
Roller
quit. I'm not sure.
Tycoon,
Never
Age
did
of
that one.
Empires 2,
Ooh,
StarCraft. I knew the
went
PC
hard
was
as
eventually going to
fuck
be where
on
it's
that
at
game.
for me. But for now, the
StarCraft 2
next
as
console
well.
era was upon
StarCraft
us.
as well.
Oh yeah, GameCube, man. I think that's one of my favorite consoles.
People sleep on GameCube, but I think pound for pound, it's very hard to beat the GOAT PS2, the greatest console of all time.
That is true. I can't say which one's better or worse. Just that I love them both. Like that's pretty much it. Like I'm not gonna try to compare it. I think overall PS2 had worse games than GameCube, but I think PS2 also had more good games than GameCube. So,
However, GameCube was fucking incredible. Absolutely amazing. I got a GameCube. That was the first one I got. I remember I got GameCube and Pikmin.
oh Pikmin, yeah.
I really feel like there was two games in particular that defined this
that Luigi's
generation
Mansion?
for me personally. The first game was Smash Bros. There was so
Yeah.
many more characters in the first game, so many more stages. It controlled beautifully.
To me, it was like
It
my
was a
favorite
masterpiece.
Smash Bros.
Sure
One
was.
Like
time
I
my
like it more
parents
than the new
made us
ones.
go play outside, and so we stuck the TV up against the window and threw the controllers out there, and so we were all just standing outside playing Smash Bros. Through a window. And the second game was Time Splitters 2.
Oh my fucking god. Remember like they had 7 different characters that were these girls with massive fucking titties? That's
You know what's crazy? I haven't really played Time Splitters 2. I played it on like the arcade. I don't know if that was 1 or 2 though.
the only thing that I remember about this game. I remember I loved the game so much. It was amazing. Even playing the campaign. Yes. And we played the campaign, and the campaign was really good. And then like me and Sean and Dylan and like AJ and like fucking like Cody, Jeff, Lowell,
I'll look into this because I haven't
Zach,
played it.
we would all fucking play Time Splitters 2. We did Time Splitters 2 until Halo like kind of got big. And it was still big, but like we kind of like swapped over to Halo after playing this.
From the same developers of GoldenEye,
So
Time Splitters
good.
would become my favorite shooter to this day.
Yeah.
The game had an insane amount of game modes,
Yep.
tons of characters, a map editor that you make your own
Yep.
story
Oh, wow.
missions. It had it all. One of my friends was a genius when it came to making maps, and every
We
time
were
we got
not.
together, he had a
I didn't
couple
know it
new
was to that
maps
degree.
that had some interesting gimmick that completely changed the way we played the game. One of my
were
favorite
not
maps of
at all.
his was one where it was just this square. It was like a grid of rooms with doors, and we would run around with one shot, one kill baseball bats. It was terrifying. If you've never played Time Splitters, I'm sorry, you're really missing out.
I'm not sure how well this game holds up to time, but I remember this game was really, really fun to play back in the day. I loved it.
It probably is one of those games you have to play with friends to get the most out of though. I don't think like if I tried playing it now, it wouldn't be probably a good experience.
The era of couch gaming would not last forever,
But-
though. And
yeah,
in
I
fact,
don't know.
it was soon
You know.
coming to a close. Monday, March 15th, 2004.
Oh boy.
You know what's funny is I remember when RuneScape was still like really the only MMO or one of the only MMOs. Like almost no one I knew who played games even bothered with RuneScape. And I like grew up with a bunch of friends who all had computers because we all played like Diablo 2 on it.
Yeah. 2004 was a golden year for gaming.
This was the day that I created my first RuneScape account.
Oh boy.
It would be my first introduction into the world of MMOs, the genre that encapsulated everything that I loved about gaming. The adventure, the immersion, puzzle solving, crafting, and I could play and enjoy it with my friends and hundreds of people across the world. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was loving every minute of it. Later that year, a
I
certain
never
other
went hard as fuck on RuneScape. I really wish I did.
I didn't even play it.
MMO would release World of Warcraft.
This one I definitely played. And it's honestly what's funny is that it wasn't because it was an MMO. It's because I played Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. And really, really, Warcraft 3, I think at that time was like probably my favorite game that I've played.
Unfortunately, there was one issue. I still had dial-up internet.
You can still play it. You can still play WoW and dial up. You just can't do like big things like raiding.
Again, man, I remember my dad. My dad retired in 2003, and I was like, "Dad, you're gonna need a really good computer. You want to be able to work on a computer, you got to make sure you get one of those really good computers. You've got to make sure that the computer is really good. That way it can run Microsoft Word, and more importantly,
What's funny is I couldn't do stuff like this with my dad because he was extremely like he's in tech, so he knew more than I did.
Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne online flawlessly. And yep. I remember he spent like $2,000 on that computer, and to be fair, it was a really good computer.
Damn.
It lasted for like fucking like 10, 15 years.
$2,000 on the computer back then was like probably spending like 10 grand now. Like that's how crazy that is. Maybe more.
It would be a few years until I got out of dial-up hell.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, the only way I could play World of
Yeah,
Warcraft
broadband.
was either by playing at friend's house or sneaking the installation onto the school computers in the library, which I absolutely did. They were not very well managed at the time. I wouldn't hit max level in World of Warcraft until the tail end.
I remember one of my friends tried to steal the school computers. He got caught, but like he didn't really get in trouble either, which was weird. But
The Burning Crusade just
Ooh.
before Wrath. But by then, World of Warcraft was the game that I
It
played,
was.
and it would remain that
Big.
way for several years until about halfway
Yeah.
through my senior year of high school. That's when I got beta access to StarCraft II: Wings of Liberty. My friends and I were so hyped for this game. We spent every day in school in
It's
our
a
computer
crazy
class
good
just
game.
playing StarCraft II. I
For
fell
an
in love with
RTS,
competitive gaming and
yeah.
esports because of StarCraft II.
I
It was-
feel like StarCraft 2, maybe this is like a bad take and it's just like my opinion, but like I feel like StarCraft 2 was the first game that really brought esports into the mainstream.
I agree.
Like Counter-Strike was always there, but StarCraft 2 had like a meteoric rise
It was
of
international.
like awareness and people
I
that
know
were
of.
just like fixating on it and playing it all over the place. It was like it was the first game that was culturally relevant as an esport. Like Unreal Tournament, Quake, these were all esports before, but it was the first culturally relevant esport to gaming as a whole and like that people would know about. From my viewpoint.
The first game that I actually tried to play competitively and work my way up a ranked ladder. I would practice almost every day with friends, watch Day 9 and Husky videos, aspirations of going
Hydra,
pro.
remember him?
I only ever made it to Plat, but getting to Plat felt incredible. I remember my friend
Remember
and
that
I
guy
used to wake
Destiny?
up at like 5 in the morning to watch the
Yeah,
GSL.
remember him?
And in 2011, as
I actually did not pay attention to StarCraft's esports. I liked the game. I liked playing it with friends. I just didn't really care about esports.
a broke college student in Orlando, Florida, I bought a ticket to MLG using a literal bag of coins. But it was such an incredible experience. My friends and I got to meet all of our favorite players, Huck, In Control.
There he is! There we go, right there.
We also got to meet Day 9, Husky, Artosis, and
shit.
Tasteless. It would be my very first,
Yep.
and unfortunately, my very last live gaming event. And eventually, StarCraft 2 would give way to League of Legends, which a few years later gave way to Smite, which would be the last competitive
Well, League of Legends is still like kind of around, man. Like, and I don't think League of Legends gave it away to Smite. To be fair.
esport game that I played seriously.
No wonder he quit.
None of them really grabbed me in the same way that
Oh, maybe it's like what you went into. Maybe that's what you're referring to. I'm not sure.
StarCraft 2 did, and I'm not sure any other competitive esport ever will.
I think it's because like StarCraft 2 also, like the game had so much massive hype, and then also it was so like everybody was playing StarCraft 2. It was cool to play StarCraft 2.
Yeah, I would agree.
Personally, I think that's a big reason.
This was about the peak of gaming in my life.
Yeah.
The best of it all came before, and I feel like I can pinpoint the
I wonder if the reason is because, like, for me growing up, like, I wasn't really. I mean, yes, I played StarCraft 2, but I wasn't like competitively into it. And but like a lot of the like older brother, like my older brother was into it, his friends were into it. So like, I think the generation above mine was really into StarCraft 2, which made it like cooler. I guess I'm not sure if that was the reason.
exact year that the steep slope downward began.
2013.
And that year was 2014.
Close enough.
This was the year that
To keep in mind, that was the year that Warlords of Draenor came out.
StarCraft was all but dead. The year Warlords of Draenor came out, the first ever World of Warcraft expansion that I did not buy or play.
Yep.
This was the year Destiny released and was a massive disappointment. This was the year that
I don't know
Smite
about massive.
introduced loot boxes.
Ooh.
This was the year that WildStar released and failed. And every year on from this point just seemed to be one big disappointment after another.
Yeah.
It felt more and more common for games to release unfinished or broken or have some predatory monetization. Every year seemed worse than the last. Gaming seemed different now.
I feel it's because like every game back then was like you know, like not every single one was meant to be played online. As soon as every game was like meant to be played online, the developers didn't care about shipping a finished product because they could patch it.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true.
Have games changed? I
In
think
a sense.
absolutely games have changed in terms of being online focused. Like many of the big
DLC,
games
yeah.
now are online service, live service games.
Yeah, but it's always a case where you follow the trend, or developers follow trends just like almost every other industry out there. Like look at arcade machines. Like the trend was to make your game just stupidly hard because that's you would put more coins to beat the game. And then the trend became to release an actual really good game because it was a buy once thing. So if your game wasn't good, word of mouth would go around and no one would buy your game, thus you wouldn't make any money. But if it was, you know, a really good game, word would get around and everyone would buy your game, thus making you the most money. Nowadays, to get the most money, you have to do gambling mechanics, unfortunately.
Like League of let's look right now. I think this would be interesting. I'm not even sure what this is going to show. Twitch.television. Let's see what the biggest and most popular gaming categories are right now. Okay. Live service, live service, live service, live service, live service, live service. Is GTA live service? I don't know.
Yes. I think so. Because it's like, at least from what I understand, it is.
Tarkov live service, FIFA half and half, Minecraft half and half, I'd say. Fortnite. Oh, it is. Yeah, is Counter-Strike live service? I don't know. Like Fortnite definitely live service, Dragonflight live service, Genshin live service, live service, live service, live service, live service. I don't know about these. And so anyway, you can see how almost every popular game, and this is only on Twitch, it's not a, you know, big...
Yeah, I think the only one on there is Counter-Strike, but Counter-Strike's an OG, so it's hard to say if that's the reason.
It's not the only way to look at it, but let's look at, you know, Steam Database, for example. Live service, live service, live service, live service. What the fuck is this? Live service, live service.
Goose duck.
Live service, live service. They're pretty much all live service games. Except for Elden Ring. Which is also still getting updates, but it's not really a live service game in the same way.
Yeah.
The industry has grown incredibly fast since I first picked up a controller. In fact, in 2021, the games industry raked in more cash than music and film combined. A good bit of this growth can be attributed to the rise of mobile gaming, which in 2021 made up 45% of the total revenue in the industry. And of course, the stench of this heaping pile of cash would not go unnoticed by the insectoid swarm of C-suite executives. And with their grubby little shit-stained appendages and their dungus touch, They've pushed hard to make console and PC gaming monetization more closely resemble that of a mobile game, attempting to normalize all the same underhanded tactics which apply psychological manipulation in various ways to pry as much money as they can out of its users in a predatory.
Well, the problem also is like, I mean, you can talk about how bad it is, but people keep playing the games. At the end of the day, everybody keeps playing them. And it's like Overwatch 2 comes out, people still play Overwatch 2. Not always. Yeah, the reason why people don't play a game is if it's bad. It's not because it's monetized in an unfair way. It's because it's a bad fucking game.
Yeah, that's exactly
Whether it's feeding off of players' addictions by implementing gambling-adjacent mechanics, or their frustration by creating problems and selling back the solutions, or FOMO with limited time function by creating problems and selling back the solutions, or FOMO.
Yeah, that one's really bad. I think FOMO, though, I mean, I don't really see FOMO as that bad, if I'm going to be perfectly honest.
FOMO with limited time, buy now expensive.
Because you get that stuff in real life, like in a retail store, a grocery store. So to me, it's like, if you're having trouble with FOMO, how'd you get this far? Like, where do you, like, what are you, 30-year-old with, like, your parents buying everything for you? Like, how do you not know how to handle FOMO?
Skins. The online nature of the live service
I'm going to be honest, I don't really care about how skins are monetized as long as they're not loot boxes.
Same.
I don't care if they sell skins for $1,000. It doesn't matter to me at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was my biggest problem with Genshin, is the randomness. It just felt like a slot machine.
But I fucking hate whenever the game is programmed and designed to have 100 bag spaces, but they only give you 50, and you have to buy, 5 bag space upgrades, and each one.
Yeah, I just won't play games like that. I'll be honest. Like, it's annoying, because a lot of times when you buy the bag space, it's usually not forever.
One costs more than the last one, Lost Ark.
Has primed games for these sort of exploitations.
PoE?
It's not complete.
Yeah, but the thing is, PoE is fucking free, and for the price of a AAA game, you can get everything in PoE that you want.
That is true.
Everything that you will ever need, you can get for the price of a AAA game, and it's a one-time purchase. Like PoE, yes, they do have loot boxes. L for PoE, absolutely. However, I'm still gonna say, like, I love PoE, and I don't think that they should be lumped in with this at all.
Without its pushback, though, as we gamers have been successful in combating some of these changes, as is the case with loot boxes, as we've pretty much eradicated those from most PC and console games at this point. Though it definitely seems like a losing battle, as every year more ground gives way to the normalization of such strategies, in like a one-step forward, 10-step back kind of way. For example, if we look back, it wasn't that long ago when DLC was considered outrageous. It was seen as devs taking content out of the original game and holding it back to sell later. But as always, the ground gave way, and the conversation shifted to...
Well, at least for me, I remember, at least among my friends, like the ones that really annoyed us was when it was discovered that they had the content on the CD, but you had to pay to unlock it.
Whether or not it was day one DLC, or how much effort they put into the DLC.
Well, the problem is that consumers, and this is what I've said before, it is so rare that once an industry gets large enough, that consumers can have any sort of concerted effort against, like, any sort of, like, product trend. So, like, for example, with, like sports, or with, like, buying shoes or something like that, the market is so vast and large. It's the same thing, but it's so vast that there's never going to be a point where you can get enough people together to make a change, because there's always going to be a bunch of other people out there who are thinking to themselves, you know what, it's totally fucking fine, I don't care. D&D, though, yeah, and that's why it didn't work with Magic, is because Magic is a much smaller community. And so it was easier to get people to, like, kind of push back against, like, the Magic thing or the D&D thing, because the community is a lot smaller, it's a lot more close-knit, and I
don't think D&D's community is small, but close-knit I would agree with.
It's harder to fucking... You can't rely on having this massive silent majority of people that don't even know, well, where's the BlizzCons been? Well, I thought this quest had a different name. Didn't that character? Well, whatever happened to that one character? Like I don't remember what the fuck his name was. Like that guy in Stratham. Fuck, I forgot. Oh, whatever. Yeah, they got no idea. Where's McCree? Well, yeah, well, we had a new name.
What happened to McCree?
I like McCree. What the fuck? Okay, and that's it. That's literally it. They never. It's that minimal for them.
Content was worth it. Fast forward to today, where similar
Okay.
Wow.
Holy shit.
That's funny.
Look at this. What did they do? Did they search Asmongold pay to win? Tower of Fantasy? Free player defends Diablo Immortal. Bro, I think we already were going to watch that. Didn't Mizkif get banned for watching that? The cuckold experience video? Diablo Immortal. Asmongold reacts to real pay to win. Diablo 4.
conversations are being had about the pay-to-win debate, where at first any pay-to-win is completely unacceptable, to now being able to find conversations about how a certain game is not that
More pay-to-win,
but
less
complaining
pay-to-win.
about monetization in games is nothing new or original. In fact, it's an oversaturated market, and at this point, just feels like beating a dead horse. It seems you'll never get enough people to care about this topic, and until that happens, nothing will change.
True.
Instead, I'd like to talk about a bit of a hot take here, that in the past 10 years, gaming really hasn't changed.
I don't understand how they are able to get away with this. How is it that they can keep releasing it?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it like the same people buying the same game? Or is it like different people who were like, I never bought Skyrim to begin with, but they're coming with this new version, maybe I'll buy it. It's hard to say. Maybe a mix of the two?
It's a good game.
Because why would you just buy the same thing again?
It's been 10 years, man! They've done more remakes of Skyrim in 10 years than I bet Nintendo has done of Super Mario Brothers in 40.
Changed much at all. The
Pretty
gaming
much.
industry feels pretty stagnant.
Fuck.
If I compare games
I was gonna say Final Fantasy, but yeah.
as they are now to how I thought they would be by now as a kid, the picture is very disappointing. As a kid who just discovered MMOs like RuneScape and World of Warcraft, I was blown away by the idea of what MMOs could be in the future.
Yeah.
I would hop off World of Warcraft and go play Dungeons and Dragons and think, man, one day World of Warcraft is going to have the same level of choice and consequence that I
Are you an idiot? Why would you think that? Like, that to me just, like, how dumb are you? Like, D&D choice and consequence, like, you can't compare anything to that because that's an actual person at that time making those decisions. So, I don't know. That seems like, that's just crazy.
can have with my imagination playing D&D. Now obviously that hasn't happened yet, and as a kid I didn't know anything about game development, but I've heard a similar observation from Razboon in his video series Gaming for a Non-Gamer, which is a great
I might watch that. That's really interesting. That's
series,
cool.
and I recommend you check it out, where he discusses his wife's disappointment discovering video games for the first time.
Yeah.
Her expectations for what she thought she could do in each game were always different than the reality, and I think as she realized that games were more simple than she had first assumed, some of the intrigue about them faded.
There's a massive lack of innovation.
No, I think that's also one of the reasons why people feel like the magic has gone away from gaming, is that back whenever you were a little kid, it was harder to find out where those limits were because you were just stupid. But now that you know, like, very much and very defined, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, this is how you can do it, this is how you can't do it, you know, and it's like back, there's no internet. Remember back in, like, classic WoW?
Exactly.
There were a lot of people that thought that you could get Ashbringer by fishing. And, like,
I
there were so
remember.
many people doing it,
Yeah.
that, like, Blizzard had to come out with, like, a statement and be like, guys, it's just some bullshit, like, it's not real, like, stop fishing under the bridge. You're not gonna get the sword. It's not gonna happen. Stop.
Like, can you imagine if you were the person that started that rumor? Like, that must have been so funny. Just seeing everyone
and risk-taking
fishing.
in the AAA space.
Yeah.
As we see games like Skyrim being released 1 billion times, The Last of Us is getting its 3rd version
I'm
of the
gonna
game.
play this.
Call of Duty ran out of ideas and decided to just loop back around and start re-releasing.
I don't know how they can do Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for the 3rd time. Is that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 5 or
I mean, to be fair, a lot of the players like they didn't really like the newer games that they were releasing. So a lot of them were like, "Look, just re-release the game that was good. Just give it, better graphics,
Or is it like times
maybe
3? So
more
it's Call of Duty
maps."
Modern Warfare 6. It's kind of yeah, Modern Warfare 2, 2.
In their games in order again, hoping nobody would notice, but they somehow made all the games worse, so everyone noticed. Which brings me to my next point, where not only are
Which
companies
is
not really
impressive in its
interested in
own way,
innovating at all,
right?
but they seem to be actively taking steps backwards in innovation. If you look at something like the original Fallout's super in-depth dialogue system versus Fallout 4's dialogue system,
Yeah, but not many people like like those kind of systems. Like, so is it the developers' fault for going like wanting more people to play their game? Like, I don't know what to say.
it's a huge step back. And that's a tame example.
I never
It gets
played
so
that.
much worse. Blizzard, for example,
Uh-oh.
figured out that they can retroactively ruin a 20-year-old game with Warcraft 3 Reforged. Well, I guess that was pretty innovative. The
They weren't trying to be innovative though, and it's not why the game was bad. It was just buggy as hell. A lot of features that were there were just removed. So like I don't know, I feel like that was a poor example.
only real innovations
impressive.
coming out of this industry are coming from indie developers and modders, the latter of which is responsible
Yeah.
for the two biggest genres in the past decade, and that's without even the expectation
That's a really good insight. I've never heard somebody say that, but that's so fucking true. MOBAs and also BRs were mods.
Yep. I mean that was like always been the case. So but I think that makes sense though, because if you're a AAA studio, you don't really want to gamble on the success of your upcoming game. Because more than likely it's been in the works for years and probably had like, depending on the type of game, could be millions of dollars into it. So it's like, are you going to do something that's known to have worked, or are you going to just try something completely new? You could try something completely new, but how are you going to explain that to the shareholders? You know what I mean? Like I don't like how a lot of people don't like they like diss on AAA studios for not like being innovative enough, but it's like if you were in their shoes, would you? Are you that like that's to be fair, like would you gamble your entire company? Because some companies, if the game comes out and it's a complete bust, that could just straight up kill your company. Like depending on how big it is already. Like if it's not one of like a giant in an industry, and you release a game that took your studio, years to make. Like, let's look at a game that could have been the case. No Man's Sky. Imagine if like the only reason why it sold so well is because they had a level of hype around it. But I don't think they would have been able to turn it around the way they had if they didn't have so much, funds from the original sales. But that could have ruined their company straight up, because when it first came out, the game was pretty bad. Minus all like the false promises and stuff from No Man's Sky. Like the game itself just wasn't good on release. So
Yeah, game companies. Yeah, they haven't fucking done anything. I know. Yeah, what the fuck, man?
it makes sense though. Like they can try innovation on like small scale, like maybe like a mini game of sorts or something along those lines, like dragon riding. Not in WoW, but like in Guild Wars 2, how they've done like the mount system. But if you notice, like it's not like huge in the game originally for the mount system. They tried it out and it worked, so they built upon it. But it's also a case where it was technically a gamble. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking of what else. Like, WildStar is another great example. Like, the company behind, or the developers behind that, they didn't make another game because they went belly up. They're not around because WildStar flopped.
That is.
And they did try to do their own thing. They try to do basically WoW, but like for hardcore players in a way. Not like really hardcore players, but like difficulty wise, they really ramped it up.
Sad.
getting paid. Isn't that weird? Kind of goes against the conventional capitalist thinking, huh? Looking at the trajectory of the industry, it's really hard to not just be depressed about it all and wonder if the industry can ever
Why?
course correct.
Course correct for what? That's almost always been the case.
I think it
You're just doom and gloom, man.
already is. Like, you're already seeing course correction inside of the industry.
In
But
what
the
way?
problem is that course correction doesn't mean everybody is going to do the same thing that you want them to do. Course correction, in my mind, means that there's a space for you if you don't want to play a game with 7 different battle pass tiers.
Yeah, that's true. There's plenty of single player games that don't have battle passes. And not just Elden Ring.
It's weird to think that things like YouTube, Reddit, and all these other social media sites haven't really been around that long. And yet it's sometimes hard to remember what it was like before they existed. These sites have made data mining, crowdsourced information, and video guides all accessible to everyone at all times. In some cases, the internet will have every bit of information about every mechanic and secret in a given game before they even release. And all of these things
If they have a PTR that is publicly accessible.
have
Or you got leakers, but
drastically changed how we play video games. Let's take a look at a game like World of Warcraft.
Ooh.
If I had to describe
that was
how I feel playing retail WoW in one word, it would be emptiness. Not because of a lack of content necessarily, so much as the game just kind of feels soulless. Where before, the game was about
I thought the thing is like aesthetically, I think it was like good. I don't know. I didn't feel empty. I was actually pissed with Shadowlands.
adventure and discovery. It is instead now a game about optimization.
Wow, look at that.
It's been that way for years though.
That's the average World of Warcraft raider.
Yeah.
There you go, guys.
It's essentially a solved game where add-ons and logs have optimized gameplay to a T with little room for experimentation or creativity. Which is fine. I mean, no one likes to play suboptimally. I'm not trying to vilify
cool.
I think there is experimental like playability to it. The only thing is like the people doing it are at a high level. They're theory crafters. They're the ones who are putting out these guides. Because it's not like WoW provided them that information. It was through trial and error.
optimization, as it can be quite fun for some people. Take speedrunning, for example.
Yeah.
Speedrunning is such an interesting hobby to me. It's something I've always wanted to get into, but I've always felt a little intimidated by. The stuff that people are able to achieve with speedrunning is
Just do it,
truly
man.
mind-blowing.
Just do
Some
it.
of which is only really possible because of the interconnected nature of modern gaming, where sharing glitches and exploits is part of the fun of collectively iterating on runs to shave off more and more time. But then
That's probably true that speedrunning is the is like a cool thing that online gaming has really like kind of acted as a force multiplier for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am very much like if I had to fall on one side of the fence or another, I am very happy with how gaming is now overall. Like I would not want to go back to the way it used to be.
I would
if you
agree.
look at something
yeah.
like RuneScape, one of the most solved games that has become literally all about the optimization, you'll find a community who's made it a tradition of coming up with off-the-wall challenges and restrictions inflicted upon their accounts,
Yeah.
also known as
Dark
snowflake
Souls is
accounts,
really like that too.
so that they are forced to
Yes.
forge their own path. There's no guide to follow on how to clear one of the hardest raids in old-school RuneScape if you're not allowed to leave the swamp zone. But one man, after 3 years of theory crafting, grinding, and 33 very entertaining YouTube videos, was able to accomplish that goal, with hundreds and thousands of people watching and loving it.
Oh my god.
So clearly, the problem for World of
I
Warcraft
never
isn't just
watched that.
optimization itself.
Well, I remember like a good example of that in WoW is my Iron Man series. I remember I did like this Iron Man series where I would level all the way through the game in all white gear and I couldn't die. And there were a few times where like I went to like 3 health or something like that. It was so
damn.
crazy. I eventually fucked up and died, but it was a great series. I think that really like having those different types of like challenges and stuff like that, like soul level 1 runs, let's think of some other ones. Like Elden Ring has a million of those types of challenges.
Yeah.
WoW has the Iron Man challenge. I think RuneScape has a million of these things too. I don't even know. Lasso, Halo, yeah, that's another good example. Like remember that whenever Jervalen beat the Moist Critical fucking Lasso Halo challenge? That was so fucking hype, man. That was amazing.
I'm not even sure what he's talking about.
It's that
I've never heard of
optimization
that.
isn't just
So
confined to the few
self-found.
who enjoy
Yeah,
it,
there you
but
go.
instead sort of forced onto everyone else. With all these tools available to everyone and things like Raider.io assigning public completion scores, everyone is expected to be fully optimized or not play the game.
Yeah.
Because again, no one
Yep.
likes to play suboptimally. Ignorance truly is bliss.
Well, there are people that like to play suboptimally. They play for fun, that's fine. The difference is that nobody will want to play with them.
It's my
Yeah,
opinion that this is
that
the
is
real
true.
reason why World of Warcraft has been struggling. Like Asmongold has said, Blizzard has ignored the casual audience and failed to produce fun and compelling activities that aren't just about the optimization.
And that's
I think
true.
that Dragonflight has gone against that. I actually think Dragonflight has been a very, very big departure from that in a big way.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't mean WoW saved. However, it has
It's
been a tremendous
going in the right
improvement.
direction. Yeah.
Instead, they just continue to double down on the raids and dungeons,
yeah, remember
catering to this nature of gameplay. Now, as of this recording, Dragonflight has not released yet, so maybe that will be the expansion that fixes this issue. But it's not just
It did not fix the issue, but it substantially improved it.
retail. A lot of
I don't know about substantially, but it definitely improved
players
it.
were excited about Classic and logged in expecting to recapture that nostalgic sense of adventure. But things are too different now. The way we play games is too different now.
Yeah.
The game didn't seem nearly as hard as they remember.
Can never
The world
step in
not
the
as
same
vast.
river twice.
But I think it comes down to the fact that every facet of the game has been solved already, and that the joy of the original release lied in the
Well, the thing is, you don't have to look these things up. It's just how it is. Like, okay, so for example, with the talent tree, I could look online for talents, and I sometimes do for classes I don't really care for, but most of my talents I did myself. They may not be the most optimized, but I feel like they're good, and that's what matters. So, I mean, there's nothing, like, no one's forcing you to go on these sites. So I don't know what you mean by this.
discovery and the journey. Now, this is not everyone's opinion. There's still plenty of people that very much enjoyed Classic. This is mostly just anecdotal sentiment from me and my friends. But I do think that this might be why so many people get excited whenever a new MMO is released. It's a chance
Everybody loves new MMOs because
like a new event.
a reset.
It's also because it's like an event of itself, and people want to be there for the event if it turns out to be crazy, like just really good. Like imagine like being there when WoW first started, kind of thing.
It's a reset where everybody starts on an even playing field. And
I think
you're
that's also the
part of
case.
a shared adventure.
Yep.
And that's what people are really looking for.
to discover things for the first
I think
time.
Yeah.
that's also why seasons are so good. I wish more MMOs did like season-based things. Just like some servers obviously should be just ongoing, but I do think they should have season-based servers on most MMOs. I think that'd be cool.
To not be beholden to the methods and builds that someone else already figured out, and
To be fair, the first fucking day of New World, the beta, we already figured out the hatchet was the best weapon. We got max level by farming the corruption portals in Shattered Mountain. We were level 60 in the beta in like 3 days, and then at that point we farmed the dungeons, we figured out the whole watermark system, and then we were complaining about how bad the game was, and we had a bunch of fucking gamer dads that were downvoting us saying that like, oh, you're
remember
so
this.
dumb.
Like Asmon was like talking about it, and like I guess like a bunch of like streamers that didn't even make it past level 30 were saying how wrong it is, how great the game is, and then once they like reached higher levels, like they realized like the amount of issues the game had.
I'm fishing and I'm having fun. And I said, shut up, old man. You don't know anything. And, what happened. Same rant? Yes! What a surprise. I'm duping my rant about New World. Fuck you. It didn't have to be like that.
everyone is expected to use. A chance for you to be the one that discovers those methods. But, for better or for worse,
Yep.
this is just the way the world is now. Maybe someday a game will come out that isn't
Remember back when... Do you remember that fucking time that whenever Dragonflight came out, me and McConnell were like killing that rare, and then we finally killed it and it didn't drop any loot, and then we're like, wait, it might be a bug, and then we kill it again, it doesn't drop any loot again, and then everybody fucking runs away. They're like, scatter, run away before Blizzard gets us. Get away quick. Everybody's like flying on their mounts and get on dragon fighting, trying to get away to where they don't get banned. It was the funniest fucking thing, man. And that's why it's fun to play new content like that, is because you have times like that when it happens. That's why the Rextroy videos are so fun, is because it pushes the boundaries of what's to be expected in a game.
Yeah,
Immune to
that
this
is true.
phenomenon. A game that can't be
I
solved.
haven't seen anything from
The
Rextroy in a
discovery
while, though.
never goes away. Doesn't seem possible.
I think it is. I think that we might actually have a game some point in the future that is created through AI, and it exists infinitely, and it is constantly changing in a way that is not understandable.
That is definitely could be the case. I don't think we're anywhere near it, just based on the current AI technology. But then again, AI is getting like massively funded right now. So who knows if there could be a jump start to that.
Yeah, there's a procedural generated AI video game that comes out 27 years from now, and the content is so expansive.
I think like almost anything with AI though, it's gonna need like some human direction, and that's about it.
That no human being can ever complete all of it faster than it can be generated.
Who knows? Maybe someday.
That'd be good. Is this Cyberpunk? I actually thought about going and playing this game.
I don't think it's Cyberpunk. But Cyberpunk is
it's
good.
life?
You should play it.
It's real life. Yeah, I've never...
I like how he like Cyberpunk has such a reputation for being good graphics that this real life scenario like scene, he's just like, oh, this must be Cyberpunk. That's funny.
I don't feel like a different person. I feel like I always have been and always will be me. But I've changed my mind and opinions on a lot of things in the past 10 years.
You know what? I've been watching so many videos lately. I realize I've reacted to this already, but not with Asmon's reaction. Because this part really like, wait a minute. Of course you're you, and of course you've changed. It's both things can be the same,
Growing
or both statements can be true.
up and dealing with adult responsibilities can be really stressful. You're
Yeah.
faced with a lot of change and uncertainty, and it can be really easy to succumb to worry and regret. But worry and regret are just a waste of time. Time that could be better spent having fun. You know, people say video games are a waste of time, but
Fuck,
personally,
bro, the people that are like, oh, video games is a waste of time. Wait a minute, I have to get home so I can watch Dancing with the Stars. Like, you spend 3 hours.
It's not even just that. Let me get home so I can rewatch for the third time Dancing with the Stars.
Watching the news about politics. So you can vote for a guy to not do what he said he was going to do.
Yep.
Every 2 years.
And then fight with people on the opposite like spectrum about how he hasn't done it yet, but he will do it, eventually.
Nope. No, you're not going to make me feel bad about that.
I think that having fun and enjoying your life is the best way to spend your time. But what do you do
I don't
if you
regret
no
any
longer
time
enjoy
I
your
played
favorite
games.
hobby? With this fog hanging over my head, I began reminiscing on how I used to enjoy games. I used to spend countless hours grinding the ladder in StarCraft 2, working on refining builds, seeing small improvements over time, making quantifiable progress in a skill feels so good.
I don't think that's something that you're going to get back because you get older and you get that sense of fulfillment from something that means more to you. Like being really good at StarCraft 2 means so much whenever you're 16, and it means so little whenever you're 36.
Absolutely.
Because at the time that you've been 36, you've probably had multiple real life successes. You have your own, family maybe. You have a career. You have a bunch of things that you have that are external from yourself that can give you a sense of self-worth. But whenever you're a kid, you're a young guy, you are a fucking loser. When you're a 17-year-old guy, what is the most impressive thing that you've done? You volunteered for a charity and you threw away garbage for a month during the summer.
For me, it wasn't even volunteer. It was court ordered. So I don't know if I could even use that.
Okay, nobody cares. And that's why people play that's especially why young guys get attracted to video games, because it
Yeah.
gives them a sense where they can compete on an even playing field with everybody else and they can win.
Also, like, I think the barrier to entry is a lot lower. Like, because of course you still have, like, sports like baseball, football, and all that. They can do that will be kind of the same, but at the same time, it's like a lot more like intensive. Like you have to be working out all the time to be physically fit enough to actually compete on the at that level.
The dopamine. But today, if you asked me to play just about any competitive game, I could not be fucking bothered. I haven't played League of Legends in like 9 years, but I booted it up a couple of months ago. My friends were telling me about all the new champions and the new metas and the new builds, and I just wanted to go take a nap. Is it because my attention span is shot?
Why'd you care? Like, you should have gone into it really caring like what the meta is. Then, like, just play a character you think looks cool and go from there.
The lack of elasticity in my rotting brain protesting against me trying to shove even more useless shit into it? Maybe both. I used to have the drive to spend hours learning everything I could about a new game. There were times where all I could think about was whatever game I was currently playing, thinking about what I wanted to accomplish next, how I was going to do it, and I wouldn't stop until I finished.
Well, I've always had that as a benchmark too, where if you're not thinking about a video game at the Taco Bell drive-thru, it's not that good of a game.
Nowadays, I'd be lucky to stick with a game for more than a couple
For me, it's usually if you're not having dreams on the game like after playing it all day.
weeks before I'm over it, regardless of if I actually finished it or not. So,
Wait, hey, yo, they had somebody in this game call himself Mr. Hands?
Yep. One of the fixers.
That's crazy.
It's because
How
when
about
you
that?
see him, like you see in the top left, like all this dude ever shows is his hands.
That's not. Wow, what the fuck? Yeah, okay, all right. It is what it is. I know some people said, I read in the chat, they said, oh, I still feel that way about games, etc. Yeah, of course. But I also don't think that what I'm saying is made irrelevant just because everybody doesn't have the exact same shared experience. I think in general, whenever you're young, accomplishments in video games mean more because you don't have any other accomplishments or anything else to really have to your name. Whenever you get
Yeah.
older, they don't mean as much because you have other things that you've already used to establish your self-worth. This is a trend, not a rule. It's a trend.
I also think it's because at that time your friends also see it as important in a way, like not important exactly, but like bragging in a way with friends, like, oh yeah, I did this and this and did all these things in the game. They're like, oh no way, like, you know what I mean? But obviously you tell them about it now, they're like, oh, okay.
then are there any games that I do enjoy? After so
Elden
many
Ring,
disappointing
New
letdowns
World,
and trying to enjoy
World of
games that
Warcraft.
just start to annoy me after 2 weeks, this question legitimately crossed my mind. And at the peak of my jadedness, one game proved to me
Valheim.
that I did still indeed have the capacity to fall in love with the game. And that game was Valheim.
Big
A
deal.
game that isn't even finished yet, but a game that so perfectly
They're gonna finish Valheim. Apparently, Valheim, the creators of Valheim,
2025.
they had a fucking like a meeting with Gabe from Steam and Valve, and also Steven from Ashes of Creation, and they figured that they would release Half-Life 3, finish Valheim, and also release Ashes of Creation in the same decade. It's gonna be in like I think 2070 or something like that.
Yeah.
created a sense of adventure and discovery that it reminded me why I love gaming to begin with. So it seems there may still be remnants of a gamer deep underneath all the jadedness. I've proven to myself that I definitely haven't outgrown the hobby. Maybe I've just been playing the wrong games. And sure, the world is different.
More than likely.
And the way we play games is different.
Mhm.
But there's still fun to be had. And despite the industry's best efforts to cannibalize itself, there will always be passionate indie developers
I'll play
and
this cat
modders
game.
to pick up the slack and make good games and experiences. And maybe that's enough. Well, it kind of has to be enough. But I'm determined to rekindle my love of gaming. And that will be my New Year's resolution. I will begin my search to find the fun.
That's such a good outlook. I love this outlook. This is great. Try to
I
find.
don't think you should have made it a New Year's resolution, just because a lot of people don't stick with them. So it's like, obviously it doesn't work. So I think you should have just told yourself, like, okay, let's play games, look for the fun. If you can't find the fun, move on to the next game.
Things that you like doing rather
Because I think that was the case also when we were kids. Like, I remember going through a lot of games as a kid, and a lot of them just weren't good. But there were enough good ones that made you want to keep looking.
than continuing to do things that you don't like and getting mad that they're not fun anymore.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, not a doomer video.
It was kind of doomer,
I
like,
like this a
throughout the
lot.
video, though. Just not the end.
Did y'all ever have, like, on the... That's, like, the original Game Boy, right? Did y'all ever have the thing that would take pictures?
I don't know who he's talking about. I don't think so.
Y'all have that? No, I didn't. I didn't either. I got jealous that like other people had it. I didn't. Yeah, the Game Boy camera. Let me link the video for you guys. I'm gonna read some of the comments real quick and kind of see what they have to say. I had the printer. I did not have that. I had like I remember I had, fuck, what was it? I had like the little light where like I could play it at night.
Yeah,
like,
I had that
under
one
the
too.
blanket and shit like that.
Yep.
Activated gaming video, check it out. No, I'll watch it. I mean, there's been a lot of conversations about this. It's not a surprise. And yeah, the light, I had a bunch of that shit, man. It was great. The magnifier, yeah, I think I had that one too. The only thing I ever remember about a Game Boy is I remember one time I was in an auditorium and it got dark and I didn't have the light with me. And there was a kid that was a seat down, like a row down, and he had a Game Gear and the screen was lit up. And a Game Gear, let's be honest,
Yeah.
was just way fucking better than a basic Game Boy.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't take off. Not many people had Game Gear.
It was like 1,000 times better. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And I felt like the
Maybe the game.
biggest like broke bitch that I didn't have that. And I had to sit there and watch that kid play Sonic the Hedgehog for 30 minutes until all 6 of his AA batteries ran out and he had to replace them. And you know, it only took 30 minutes for that to happen for the Game Gear. And that's about it. But I didn't really know that. I was like, wow, I guess you just stopped playing the game because it was so boring being amazing, you know, having one of these things. We're like 20. No, I was 6. I have one. And even have TV on Game Gear. I remember PSP was really was really big whenever it came out too.
Yeah.
Still have it? Yeah, bro. I have so many.
What's funny is PSP was the first modded system I ever had. Like, I had a friend who was like really into modding, and he was able to mod my PSP to have like a bunch of games on it.
Of those fucking old things, man. Yeah, I actually collected old game consoles, like whenever I was younger, and I have like Sega Saturn, Sega Master System, the Odyssey, Entertainment System. I think I have an Atari. I have like obviously like every Nintendo console, every PlayStation console. No, I don't. I don't have PlayStation 3, and it was expensive. I have PSP. I had like all of this stuff. Who funded this? Well, I did because I would buy them at thrift stores and then try to fix them. Yeah, I have a Dreamcast. Yeah, I had Sega Saturn. I had Sega CD as well. I had actually 2 versions of Sega CD. I have the Sega CD that would stack on top of the Sega Genesis, and then I had the one that would stack on. It was on the side of it too. Yeah, Game Boy Color. I had Game Boy Advance. I had Game Boy DS. Sega CD. Oh yeah, GameCube. Oh yeah, 100% I had GameCube. Virtual Boy. I don't think I have one of those. Yeah, I remember I got like controller.
I've had most of the systems he's talking about. It's just I didn't keep track of them growing up, and I have no idea where they went.
For it, but I never actually got one.
I might have sold them without remembering.
Did you have a Vectrex? No, I don't even really know what that is. I have to like really think back what that was. Advanced SP? Oh, the little like the square one where it would flip up. Yeah, I did have one of those actually.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, I think this is a great video. Why isn't gaming fun anymore? I think that there are a lot of people that like hyper-analyze gaming and they focus on what they don't like about it, and instead of that, they don't ever think about what they do like and what they do enjoy. Because there are games that come out that I think are really fun. Like, I'll go through some of my Steam lists and I'll talk about games that I think that are genuinely fun, okay? I think Alt F4 is a genuinely fun, goofy fucking game.
Yeah.
Among Us is a great game. I'm not a fan of it, but obviously other people
I
like it
think
a
with
lot.
friends and family.
I think Balloons is a good game. Cuphead, obviously Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I've not played Doom yet. I need to play it, but I hear everything that I hear and see about it is good. Elden Ring. I think Fall Guys is fucking amazing. I love Fall Guys. Let's see.
I
What are
didn't
the
have
other
too
ones
much fun with that
I've
myself,
played?
but
Hades, incredible fucking game. Hollow Knight, amazing game. There's the map annoyed the fuck out of me, so I quit it last time. And these are all games that like exorbitant microtransactions. I mean, I enjoy Lost Ark, but I know a lot of people don't for that same reason. New World, I like New World. Needy Streamer Overload. Remember I played this? I thought it was fucking hilarious. And
I
let's
haven't played it,
see,
but I've
there's some
seen a
other
lot of
good
videos
ones
on it.
here. Sekiro.
Really funny.
Um, V Rising was great. Valheim, Vampire Survivors. I mean, Witcher 3. Fuck, man. There's so many good games.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's like what I really want to get at with these kind of videos is like I don't think like the whole doom and gloom thing of like games aren't fun, games aren't good. I think it's just bullshit, to be honest. Like it's people seeing it like with rose tinted glasses. They don't realize because growing up, like I had an unbelievable access to games just because my older siblings actually sold games at our local market. Like we have outdoor market, and they had like a booth that would sell like trade and sell games. And of course, they'd have to bring the games home like after, and so I would have access to pretty much anything and everything. So, but there was a lot of bad games. Let's just say that. But good video, long video. So I don't know, but really, yeah, would have to agree with some points here and there. But obviously, I do disagree with the whole gaming isn't fun anymore. I think that's a real personal thing.